Going to discuss a trailer just dropped Monday, which is the new Thor and Love and Thunder trailer. So with this trailer, the big thing about this is you see Christian Bale as Gore, the God Butcher. Some people also might say basically Quan Chi from Mortal Kombat. There's also kind of another comparison.
He does. He does look a lot like Quan Chi. It's
Um,
goddamn Christian Bale. You don't cast an actor like Christian Bale and put him through layers.
Uh, so do you all like the look of Gore? I mean, he looks drastically different than he does in the comics, and some people were saying that
I
that
mean, but then again, what live action comic character doesn't look different? Page.
mm, that's very true. I mean, you do see a lot of it's not always a direct translation between the two. Some people were saying that with Gore the God Butcher in the comics very much looks like Voldemort, which I don't really see the Voldemort connection really. I guess because he has no nose really. I guess is that it or no lips. You know what I mean? He's out here looking like a British man and just no lips at all. Could you all see?
He looks like a British man that's really obsessed with business cards.
Uh,
Mm.
uh,
Even has the watermark on it.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring.
so what about you, Dust? Do you like the kind of look of Gore the God Butcher, or?
I think it's very pulled back on purpose. It is not very comic book accurate. I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna have him at first he'd be like that, and then at the very end or whenever they're gonna have him in his old school bat costume.
Mm,
He's gonna build up to that point. At first, I think it also kind of fits for character. He's like, I want to come in unassuming. Gods are about ego. I'm the opposite of that. I'm coming in because I have a problem with all gods. All gods cause issues, and ultimately we're all better off without them.
yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? All as far as I've seen, it's not a bad bet. All things considered.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And
that may not be very Christian of me, but certain gods, just to speak, the gods in the MCU, I should say.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm kind of there too. I think I like the more pulled back look. I think if you get an actor like Christian Bale, why would you just put him in layers of makeup and make him recognized like they did to another actor in this franchise with Christopher Eccleston?
Yeah. Um, and then also another kind of thing with this trailer that you see is more of a more Jane Foster, more kind of them interacting and them meeting. Also with Thor's costume to see how many different costume changes he'll go through in the movie. Probably got to get those toys, got to get all those new variations, those different toys that you can get. You kind of see that. And he also says
Merchandising.
Where the real money in the movies are made.
Yeah, gotta get all
But
those
the
different
real money is made.
costumes and dolls that the Thor that kids can buy and everything like that. So you gotta bring that in here. And then a lot more stuff that is more closer comic book accurate to Thor because he's got the helmet on and everything like that. So it's more comic book accurate there. I was kind of thinking maybe under the assumption that Thor would die in this, but I was thinking like, well, why would you waste Thor dying in his own movie when you would probably want to save that for something maybe like Avengers or Secret Wars or something more of a big event than rather this. I kind of more go like maybe Jane will probably let's see because I know in her arc in the comics she has cancer and she transforms into Thor to beat off the cancer. So I was thinking
temporarily beat out the cancer. That comic book was not very well liked because it wasn't really written that well, and the concept alone already has issues because she's called the mighty Thor. Thor's not a title. He's Thor Odin's son, the son of Thor. Odin. I'm sorry, the son of Odin. That's not a title. That's just who he is. He is a Nordic god. So already I'm a bit surprised.
But at least in a lot of cases for me, Marvel with a lot of their film adaptations, they've taken books that are not really well liked or well received, like what they did with Civil War, like what they did with Spider-Man: One More Day. They managed to take these books that have a solid idea but are terrible in their execution, and they managed to improve upon it. And I think we might get something like that here.
Yeah,
at least with the Jane Foster Thor.
So I like the angle. The one thing I'm going to try and positive, because I did see some positive things. I do like that the Mjolnir that she's wielding is the broken one. It's held together, but it's broken. They repaired it, or at least they cobbled it together. That's just a good representation of how her character kind of is. She's just kind of holding on. She's being held together by the power that Mjolnir and to an extension Thor is giving her. So that's an interesting kind of dynamic that they could kind of get into, which I think I saw a bit of it, where it's like look, I still clearly have feelings for you.
Yeah,
that hasn't changed.
Yeah, which is the thing I like in seeing in that trailer. It's something that I thought was because Jane Foster was kind of a nothing character.
Yeah,
she was just there to ogle Chris Hemsworth.
She had a character in the first one, but she was horribly underutilized in the second.
Yeah, it's so underutilizing. So important. Yeah. And I think because you're giving her a much more active role in this story, that character dynamic is going to be, and also it's a case of, seeing your ex, there may still be some lingering feelings there, and also something I like in this trailer. You don't see any resentment towards Jane from Thor. It's like, holy shit, you have powers now. Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you see Thor.
Yeah, he's mostly just shocked to see her and for her just being beside him and stuff. And even Valkyrie points out, like, there's still stuff there. There's still stuff between you that you haven't really gotten through. And I think I'm curious to see how Jane's going to react to this, because I'm hoping they address this a bit where it's like Jane kind of let go of him in a way that it felt like, oh, that's why I didn't like in Ragnarok, where it was like, oh yeah, whenever they just kind of let go. I'm like, there's a story there. There's a story. And she didn't just let him go for no reason, not after all the first two movies.
Yeah, and something that I think Jane might have blipped.
Yeah.
Because they say, it's like, how long has it been? It was like 3 years? It was like 8.
Yeah.
Which that kind of lines up.
He goes 8 days, whatever, as like 8 years, like a month, a couple days, but who's counting?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you see that he's been counting that time, and she says like 4 years, so it's like maybe, like you said, the blip, maybe she was blipped, and that makes up for the 5 years or something that she was kind of gone there for that time. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, also, this may be the best we'll see their relationship, because in the other two movies, like I said, I don't think their relationship is all that interesting or all that engaging.
Yeah, in those movies, it felt like an act.
Yeah.
Every superhero movie at the time had to have at least one.
Yeah, it just had to be a thing. How do you all think this movie looks visually? Do you think the CGI looks strong? Do you think that looks good?
I mean,
there's some shots I think that look good.
There's some shots. I think the wide shots look fucking incredible. Like that shot, it's him and it's Thor and Korg on that corpse. I think that looks beautiful. I think a lot of the landscapes look great. But there are some of those like smaller green screen shots that have been pointed out relentlessly by film Twitter that I need to get off there. That starting to think that these could use a little more.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to, like they did with the other Thor, the initial Thor movie, was they're trying to, as best they can, emulate the Jack Kirby comics. They're trying to get his vision to life, and you can see a lot of the just the color and a lot of the different angles. We're getting to see another part of the MCU that we don't usually get to see, which is the Greek pantheon, which is a part of the MCU, and Hercules is actually a character. He's actually a MCU character in the MCU. So I'm actually be interested to see him and Thor team up. I hope they bring in Beta Ray Bill. That would be really interesting to see his character show.
Fuck, I've been wanting that.
They've been teasing Beta Ray Bill for a long time too.
I was certain that we were gonna get him in, and for the longest time, I thought Bale was gonna be Bill.
Yeah,
up until
I
they
thought
announced
so
he's
too.
Gore.
Right. I thought in Ragnarok, Beta Ray Bill was going to show up on that junk planet, and he's there too, and he's like, they got to help figure each other out because he's the only other character who can wield. He's one of the very few characters who can wield Mjolnir legitimately.
Yeah. I think because when I was going over the trailer with Hunter, he was saying, because you see it in the shot, like I think in the first trailer, where it was, Thor and Korg kind of saying goodbye to the Guardians, that maybe there's somebody else next to them, that they maybe digitally remove somebody. So maybe it could be Hercules, maybe it could be,
Beta Ray,
Beta Ray Bill, who knows?
It could be Jane. It could be Jane for.
Yeah.
You know.
Honestly, I'm down for Thor creating a new actual or reclaiming Asgard, recreating Asgard, and being king finally. Being actually Odin, Thor king, and letting New Asgard on Earth be ruled by someone else. It's like, all right, Valkyrie, but let's move everybody else to New Asgard. Let's get them here.
Let's move to
New Asgard, proper Asgard. No, they're just referred to as old Asgard. Old Asgard, proper. And I guess the ladies will be happy. We got buff Thor again. They're making jokes about that.
Yeah, went from dad bod.
All the wine
to
moms are gonna be happy.
From dad bod to god bod.
Yeah, you kind of see that, and you also see a better look at Russell Crowe with Zeus. Some of the shots, I will say, like the shot where they're kind of fighting Gore on this kind of planet, that doesn't look the best. I think some background shots.
I think that like black and white segment looks incredible, and I think yes, please let Taika Waititi making.
And I think you see the scene like with Jane Foster with her helmet. Like there's some moments where it looks good, there's other moments where it looks kind of wonky. I think there. And then to see kind of Russell Crowe's Zeus. Some people say they would complain about the look of Zeus, but I think it's like the same thing with like the Thor and like when he was in Ragnarok, how he looks there. I think some people just don't like that kind of look with gods. They want gods sometimes immediate to look like supermodels. They want them to look like, I guess, Chris Hemsworth all the time.
Yeah, it's like if you really look at stories of Greek mythology, Zeus is a cautionary tale about relentless lust and gluttony.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of people kind of complain about that. Dusk, what do you think about the look here of Zeus?
Going back to the Ragnarok, one of the things I did like about, I thought worked, even though there isn't a lot, there's a visual element on the Valkyrie flashback where it's this memory moment. It reminded me of a lot of the domain that Gore is in, the God Slayer. And it reminds me of like, okay, this can work. This etherealness works when you're talking about gods and myth and legend.
Yeah,
it can work.
It's like this otherworldliness compared to everything else we've seen in at least the Thor films, where they've gone more into the supernatural.
My only hope for this movie is that they pull back on the comedy a lot, pull way back on the ad-libbing, tell a cohesive, good story, and wrap up as much as you can Thor's character arc. Let him be goddamn king. He's been trying to be goddamn king for the last 3 or 4 movies with him. That man was born to be king. Let him be king. He's learned his lessons. He doesn't have anything else to grow.
I mean, we'll see. He's on a journey. That's what he wants to do.
His journey he doesn't even need to be on.
His journey from Endgame on, it's like not being who you're meant to be, who you're supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, with the look of Zeus, I think, like I said, I like that look of him, of Zeus. He's not all Greek mythology guys are supposed to look like supermodels. But Chris Hemsworth, I mean, he sure does though. I mean, good on him. He gets bigger in every movie. I feel like every Thor movie he gets bigger.
yeah, he got back on gear apparently.
Yeah, gear. Yeah, and I mean, it's so. I mean, this is basically what happens to everybody in real life when they meet Chris Hemsworth. Everybody just falls out anyway. I mean, that's basically just what happens. Um, and then yeah, July 8th is coming out. I agree with Dust to a
Wait,
point.
wait.
Oh, what you say?
Yeah, July 8th. Can't wait.
Yeah, that with the comedy aspect, which I know is Taika Waititi, that's his strong suit, but I really want Gore, the guy Bush, to be really intimidating and really
Hmm.
threatening.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I got that from this trailer. I don't think I got that from this trailer. But I think
No.
that's the big thing about him being this huge threat, him killing all these gods, to be really threatening and frightening. And I want that to be kind of how he is in the movie. So I do kind of want them to pull
Hmm.
back on some of the comedy when it comes to at least with presenting Gore, the God Butcher, as a
I mean,
threat.
even in Watiti's Hella, they never let the comedy undercut what a threat she actually was.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, it's also a wonderful performance by Kate Blanchett as Hela.
Mhm.
I mean, she's frightening. She's powerful, sexy, dominating.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
All those stuff.
definitely didn't awaken anything to me.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I think Hela was a good villain in that series. Yeah. So Thor: Love and Thunder. All right, moving on from that, get into Andor, which is the new Star Wars Disney Plus series that is coming pretty soon. This is based on Cassian Andor, the character we met in Rogue One. Everybody likes Rogue One, right? Everybody pretty much likes Rogue One.
Yeah, I love Rogue.
Yeah.
I think Rogue One is my favorite. My favorite.
Dust, what about you? Did you like Rogue One?
It was
Dust,
okay.
it was okay.
So it was okay.
I've warmed up to it more since I've seen it. First, I wasn't kind of big on the movie. And with this teaser trailer getting us kind of, it's just a little bit of a teaser, nothing kind of big yet, story wise yet, kind of going on. But with the Cassian Andor character, which is, I think this series is supposed to be 12 episodes, which is pretty long, actually, normally what they've done. But I do like the aspect of really exploring the spy character of Cassian Andor, which was a different side of the rebels that you normally see, which is also what I liked about Rogue One, of seeing him kind of do the dirty stuff of him doing the murders and doing the killings, all on the behalf of the rebels. It's like, hey, it's a war, and wars can get messy and dirty. So I like that. I like the kind of that real aspect to it, into things. What do you all think about Cassian Andor getting his own show?
With Rogue One, because he was like one of the few characters in Star Wars that wasn't actually gray moral character. Because you see that yes, his intentions also not shy from innocent,
Uh,
which was a really fascinating.
You're like cutting in and out, Nick, a little bit. You're cutting. I don't know
Oh
why.
shit. Oh, yeah, there's construction going on outside.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but for me, Cassian, because he debuted in the Disney, like right at the beginning of the era of Star Wars, and he was one of the more gray, more.
Uh. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
he's
like,
cutting in and out.
Yeah. I guess
shit.
still cutting it in and out there. Like every other word there is like kind of in and out there. Dusk. Real quick, give your thoughts on Andor there, real quick, and get back to Nick.
Uh, Andor is a character that um he's fairly morose and fairly sad. He's very tired. He was a semi interesting character in a movie that ultimately wasn't really about characters. They were more about the mission. I have a lot of problems with the movie itself. But a lot of those problems probably would have been resolved if they went all the way with the original concept and made it kind of a D-Day, but almost like a Band of Brothers kind of movie, but in Star Wars, and they pulled back a lot on that, even though that was the original premise. Andor's character fits a bit more on that end, but I'm going to be honest, I never really felt a lot from Andor's character. We didn't really get time to feel anything for him or Jin Urso. They were just characters in a vehicle being told for a story that, if I'm going to be honest, has already been told. Getting the Death Star plans or enacting on it, that's been told many times in the Star Wars universe. Several characters have gotten the Death Star plans at this point.
Yeah.
My personal favorites is Kyle Mother effing Katarn from the video games that involve the Jedi Academy and the Jedi Dark Side, the first person shooter, and the other games that he's in. Kyle Katarn is great. In one of the first games he was in, he stole the Death Star plans, but ultimately, even then, you could just say many Battlefans died getting us this information. There you go, done. That's it. You don't need much else. You already covered it. I am intrigued to seeing a rebel side that shows a bit of the dirtier aspects of being a rebel, because that's going to happen, and I would like to see that. I just don't know if Andor is the character I would have picked. You already know how his fate ends. Right. It's not going to be much tension.
Yeah.
I honestly just would have picked an entirely new character and forgot Rogue One existed.
Yeah. I mean, there's the thing. Prequels can work. I mean, look at something like Better Call. You have a show like that. You know the fate of most of the cast of that show, but it still manages to be great. And I think with Star Wars, with the casting of Diego Luna, they didn't want to waste him in a one-off.
Yeah, and Diego Luna is a very strong actor. And
no, I never said he wasn't.
No, I was just saying. I was just saying that as a general statement.
I'm not saying that you were. I'm just saying. No, you have a character with have a side of the universe that we haven't spent a lot of time with, like the dirtier, uglier side of rebellion, and you have an actor like, and hopefully you bring back Alan Tate.
Yeah. And maybe he'll make a cameo here. K2, so voiced by Alan Tudyk. I mean, a little bit more the dirtier aspects of the Rebels, which is interesting to see if they explore that. But you did have a show like Book of Boba Fett where they was like, okay, we're going to do a crime lord show, but he was the nicest crime lord in the world. Okay. So whether they'll really get into the dirty aspects of the Rebel thing, I guess we'll have to just see. And it how much it does visually remind you of Rogue One. Watching the teaser trailer for this also is very interesting, and kind of I guess the early stages of the rebellion, and how it really kind of became a more powerful force is also kind of interesting. But I mean, listen, it's they're gonna just keep milking this Star Wars stuff. I mean, this is gonna do.
It's like they're gonna keep milking it but I really like the creature because it's written by Tony.
Tony Gilroy.
And co-written by a Schiff was a writer and showrunner American.
Oh, really?
He's still breaking up a lot.
You said the Americans. You said
yes, yeah. Stephen Schiff was, and he was showrunner.
Okay.
And you also have directors like Ben Karen and Toby done episodes the BBC Sherlock.
Okay. Yeah, so you said they've done shows like Sherlock before, and like I said, Tony Gilroy, who did Nightcrawler, which Nightcrawler was with Jake Gyllenhaal, which was one of the best movies of the year when it came out. Yeah, so it does have a talented creative team behind it. That's also another kind of thing to get excited about it for. This is when's the release date? I forgot to pull up the release date real quick for this show.
It's first episode
August 31st. August 31st, right? That's what you were saying. I do like Diego Luna as the character of Cassian Andor. get to explore the character more. And I get the trouble of the hurdle of it being a prequel and getting people invested in show a character you already know the fate of, which is tough. So hopefully
But but sometimes it can work.
yeah, it can work at times. So yeah. So we got a few more trailers, and we're gonna be getting out of here. Also, Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise still running his ass off. So Mission Impossible in this movie, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. You have it where the crew is back, trying to save the world again. I think Mission.
How are they going to get? How are they going to get disavowed by
Yeah, what are they running from now? How are they going to get disavowed by the IMF, Impossible Mission Force?
What's the pretext? What's the new pretext for?
Yeah,
Adam Duke Boy is gonna get out of this situation now.
That how's this hunt boy?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mission Impossible, like we were talking about when we were talking about Top Gun Maverick, and Dusk was mentioning how it's nice to see real locations, real, kind of practical stuff. And that's what these Mission Impossible movies do, and a lot of stuff. And Mission Impossible has been, I think, some of the best action movies in the 2010s.
Or onward, yeah.
Yeah, very much so. And I think even when you talk about spy action movie genre, I think it's even been superior to like the Bond movies for me.
In some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In most ways, I agree wholeheartedly.
I would say in the Daniel Craig avenue, aside from Casino Royale and Skyfall, for the most part, yes.
I would say that in No Time to Die, but okay.
No Time to Die. So you're saying, are those better than Mission Impossible movies, or they aren't as better?
I would say
I would say on the same level of a Mission Impossible.
Okay, and Des, what would you say?
I'm talking specifically Daniel Craig's era around the same time. I'd say
Okay.
Casino Royale and Skyfall. I would say of those are the two that I would say those compete with the Mission Impossibles 4 through now 7.
Okay, yeah,
and they compete in different ways. In that one's a bit more of a heist action that has spy in it, and Bond is a bit more cool. At least Daniel Craig's cool, a bit more subterfuge, a bit more, where action's a bit more subdued, but it's still there. At least in those examples, if you're going for this kind of aspect. But I'm always a fan for I always enjoy my Roger Moore or my Sean Connery, and my even Pierce Brosnan. I enjoy myself some cheese every once in a while.
Yeah. And Christopher McQuarrie, he's come back to direct this movie. And like I say, he's been a part of the other Mission Impossible movies, like, Rogue Nation and Fallout. Yeah. I've been very much impressed with these Mission Impossible movies ever since basically the third movie on. I think each of one of them has been very good, especially after 2, which is one of the worst action movies.
Oh yeah, two's terrible.
Yeah, so it's nice to see like when J.J. Abrams took over the third one. It's actually one of the few times J.J. Abrams actually took over a franchise and it worked. It got better and better. That's actually one of the rare instances where
J.J. Abrams, that third one, 2 was so bad. 3 had to retcon a lot of the crap from the second one to make it make any sense at all, and to kind of get it back on track. And the first one was controversial because the original agent from the TV show Mission Impossible, they have his named character on it, that he's the main villain, played by John Voight, but in the first one, the original actor wouldn't come back to reprise it for that character because he didn't agree with what they were going to do with the first movie. And so he's just like, no, I'm not going to have you do that to my character. You can call him a name, but that's not the character. And
he was that protective over that character, huh? Oh.
Well, he played it for so long in that TV show. He was the main character for that show, and then Tom Cruise basically took over the franchise after that for the movies. So as a new up and comer who takes over and kills the evil villain who was one of their best agents in the original series. He's like, no, screw that. I'm not going to give you that.
Yeah, that's basically a lot of spy.
Yeah, it didn't start off great. The Mission Impossible franchise didn't start off great. The first two movies aren't really.
Yeah.
Second one's way worse though.
Yeah, that's basically a lot of the plot to a lot of spy movies. The old agent who works for the company now is like taking over, now turned evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and at the time the guy who played it, he's like, that's cliche and that doesn't fit my character.
Yeah. Yeah, I can kind of see that a little
Balls
bit.
on that guy though. Fair enough for him to just go, no, I'm not going to come back for you to just destroy a character I played for a decade.
Yeah, yeah. I guess, I mean, hey, you gotta admire the guy for sticking by his morals. I guess. So hey, it's like, hey, I don't believe my character to be portrayed this way, and I'm not gonna be in it. Hey, I guess good on him.
But John Voight's like, I'll take your money.
Yeah, John Voight is, I'll do anything. I'll take the money. Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, and you see kind of with this kind of a much bigger, more expanded cast, kind of with this movie now that you have a lot more additions, and you have a lot more people coming back as well with this. Like you had like Jeremy Renner's character, I believe, who's going to be back in this movie as well. I think Paula Patton's character, because they showed up in Rogue Nation, I believe it was. So they'll be back here as well. I think. Oh no, I'm sorry. They're not going to be back here. I was looking at a different list. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. Haley Atwell though is the big new addition here. Who Haley Atwell just was doing really well. She just was in. Doctor Strange. I guess it's not a spoiler anymore since they released stills and everything like that for her being in that. So I guess that's Captain Carter. So I guess that's not a spoiler anymore to say that. But yeah, I mean the series. I mean it looks like it's still continuing. I mean, looks like it's still doing the big action set pieces that the series is known for. Which is how much can it still get bigger and better and top the thing it did before, which is always what I mean, something that this series tries to manage to find a way to do. They'll do one.
I mean,
yeah.
For God's sakes, he grabbed onto a plane as it took off.
Yeah.
He actually grabbed onto a plane with almost no things holding on to him. And the studio fought, he had to fight for that. He's like, no, I want to take off. I want to hold on to the plane and be as unprotected as possible to make it look as realistic as possible. And he really held on to that plane. Mm-hmm. Any other actor would fight to be like, no, I don't want to do that. And Tom Cruise is like, yes, kill me. Kill me.
Yeah, that's Tom Cruise for you, man. I tell you, he's fucking he doesn't give a shit. He's a daredevil. Yeah,
he is. He's a real daredevil.
Yeah, he's like,
yeah. Tom Cruise is gonna keep making these movies until he dies.
Yeah,
and even then, while Jeremy Renner is sitting at home just waiting, to get that movie franchise, until Tom Cruise literally has it in his will. Give it to anybody but Renner.
Renner, he tried to take over 2 spy franchises. He tried to do Bourne and he tried to do this, and then both failed. It's like, yeah.
And both of them said, "Fuck out of here."
Yeah.
You know what's the sad thing is, the Bourne one, Bourne Legacy, is actually not that bad.
It's not terrible.
It's not terrible. And I always, in my head canon, I always think of Bourne Legacy is what Hawkeye did before he joined S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's your canon. Yeah,
it's my head canon.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I mean, then they did the release date at the end of the trailer. It's like, oh damn, all the way next year. Damn. July 16th, 2023. I'm like, damn, I gotta wait all the way till next year to watch this. July 14th.
Wait a whole year, brother.
Yeah, like almost a whole year. But yeah. But he's still running his ass off. Yeah, you run, Tom Cruise. You run, man. Run for them gay thoughts. You keep on running, man. No, let me stop playing. I don't know if he's gay or not. Let me stop. I like you, Tom Cruise. Short King.
I mean, we did just rewatch Top.
I want to say that. I'm just joking. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I want him to sue us like he did South Park. You know what I mean? So I'm just playing. Yeah.
I mean, come on, we're not big enough to sue.
Yeah, that's true. I ain't got nothing for you. I ain't got nothing for you. But yeah, excited for this. Somebody should make a loop of just him just running, just like how Liam Neeson hopping over that fence and taking. Just make a loop. Just make a loop of that just running. Just one continuous loop. I watched that. Just check on what. Oh, go ahead.
Now, do you see that? Do you see that like parody account of like Tom Cruise announces his run? And it's literally just him running. Listen,
Oh, that dude who does like the deep fake Tom Cruise.
the dude who does the deep fake.
Oh yeah, I think I did see that. Yeah, yeah, he's just running for
It's
president.
just funny.
Yeah, yeah. Just keep on running, Tom. Yeah, there you go. Keep on running. Yeah. All right. Let's move on from Mission Impossible. We got one more trailer, and then that's it. Just one quick one. We're gonna be discussing Willow. Did any of you guys ever see the original Willow movie with Warwick Davis, the first one?
I did not.
Warwick Davis.
Uh-huh.
I have
And what did you think about it?
the original.
Yeah.
The original movie. I thought it is. It is a cute. And I use it. I use cute not in the term that it's kid friendly. I use it. It is. I guess it is quaint. It's a quaint little fantasy movie about a character who goes on a little journey to save this baby and meets these different characters, and though he is the weakest character in the entire movie, he ends up being the thing that saves the child from an evil empress. It is a fairly simple story with some good practical effects, some solid action moments, and some pretty good acting for everyone involved. And it's a fun little fantasy movie that I think is kind of underrated now. It's a little hidden gem. If you want to check out Willow, it's fun. It hits that spot right in the '80s where George Lucas and Industrial Lights and Magic and LucasArts, and they could produce something and let someone else kind of take a crack at it, and you had those magical little time that you could kind of make a slightly bigger budget movie than you might have normally, but not too big, and you get something like that to tell a story like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So the original movie.
The arcade video game is actually no joke, though. That's like a pretty good arcade game too.
I never played it myself. I've never seen the movie. It's on Disney Plus. Maybe when the show comes out, maybe we should do a review. The movie when it comes.
I think you should.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It has not aged super great, but if you kind of keep that in mind while you're watching it and kind of look at it like a fairy tale and as a simple story, I think you find some charming aspects to it, especially Warwick Davis.
Yeah. And with this kind of Willow, I mean, it's more harkens back to more kind of child kind of fantasy. You know what I mean? Like now in fantasy stuff, you see a lot of blood, a lot of guts, a lot of titties. You know what I mean? Stuff like with The Witcher and stuff like with Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? So maybe nice to kind of have more of a more children's friendly kind of fantasy stuff. To kind of balance it out, which is kind of nice. The
original as well. The original had some dark moments, but that was only just to be there to contrast the fantasy and kind of the other more kid adventure-esque nature of it.
Yeah. And the effects you see in the trailer here look really good. Actually, I think they look pretty strong. And it looks like kind of a good mix of special effects here. Looks really pretty nice. Nick, what were kind of your thoughts on the trailer?
I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see it? Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, does he think the effects look pretty good here?
I think they look fine. I think they look pretty fine on it, honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
It's honestly speaking, I expected a lot worse for Wear. And this is again one of the rare Lucasfilm movies that came beforehand. It's interesting to see this property done again. It does seem like it's gonna lose some of the charm that the original movie had, which is to be expected. But I think for the costumes, for the fantasy-esque nature of it, that's the part that's really intriguing to me, because we've often been just so like Game of Thrones and grounded, and it's like it's the lightest version of fantasy. It's the lightest version of fantasy you possibly can do. It's we got some knights and wizards. Yeah, there's a dragon. Okay, where's the fairies and elves and Fey wilds and other aspects, and wands and tomes and books and spells. And it's like, no, we don't have budget for that. Nah, we don't got that. No, we're not going to do that either. Wizards, are you crazy? That's some nerd shit. We're not going to do nerd shit. We're going to have rape. We're going to have knights. And everyone's fighting for a throne. None of that matters in Willow. None of that matters. In Willow, it's about a little guy who wants to help a baby make its way home to stop an evil empress and her tyranny. And he gets people to help on his journey along the way because he displays courage and conviction. That is a simple ass story. And if I can get a modern version of that today while keeping all the charm with a little bit higher budget, so be it. Even if it's the same movie again.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like something light, something fun. It'd be nice to kind of put on.
Yeah.
It comes out November 30th. So yeah, maybe it could be something fun to watch. Warwick Davis.
Yeah, it could be cool.
What has Warwick Davis been in lately? Because I know he was in the Harry Potter movies, but I was wondering what he's been.
Yeah, he was the teacher.
Yeah, I wonder what he's been doing lately.
And the Goblin.
Yeah.
Yes, and the Goblin. You're right. He was also the Goblin.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah,
Gringotts.
the possibly anti-Semitic Goblin.
Okay. No, that's not exact. That's not really true. It's just
a big nose hoarding money.
I should
whatever.
Yeah. It's funny. We were talking about that. I was talking about that in my interview with Anthony Stokes, who I did an interview with Indie Comic Korea. We were talking about that. Yeah, it was kind of funny. We brought that conversation up there. But yeah. So that was Willow. That was Willow there. Yeah. And then also there was a trailer for the Star Wars. They're doing a sequel to the Star Wars game Fallen Order called Jedi Survivor. Teaser trailer for that dropped. It's just kind of a teaser trailer. It really isn't a whole lot to really talk about.
Yeah, there's not much really to see.
Yeah. The Grand Inquisitor is actually he's in that. By the way, speaking of the Grand Inquisitor, he's in that too. But
that game's only set like 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, right?
I believe so. I believe you're correct there. I believe. But yeah, there's really not much to talk about. But Fallen Order is a great game. Fallen is a great kind of
fantastic game.
Yeah.
Fallen Order is a solid game.
Just solid, you think?
I mean, it's good. It's a solid game. Like if I had to give it a rating, it's a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah.
It is there's room for improvement, but what you got there is a solid framework. Honestly, for any game, that's great to have. Like people act like, oh, a 7 out of 10's not great. No, 7 out of 10's a good game. That's a good, solid game. You're gonna get some enjoyment out of that. You're gonna have a good time. You get some fun lightsaber battles. The customization is a bit weak, but hey, you know what? It's the first game. It was an EA game that didn't have microtransactions and actually told a story and had a single player. I'm gonna take it, and it's a 7 out of 10. I'm gonna take it. That's the best we got at this point. So hopefully the sequel will be better and take a lot of the improvements that people noted that could be done for its sequel and improve upon it because it's got a good foundation. It's got a solid foundation.
Yeah. And then also, but they did say some people were really disappointed that it's only going to be on the next generation consoles. It's only going to be.
I mean, that's understandable, honestly.
PS.
At this point, it's starting to get to the point where it's like, all right, it's only coming out on PC of the next consoles. They have to sell them somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
first I need to make the goddamn consoles.
Well,
people need to
if
get.
You got the money.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw somebody selling theirs for $600, which I think was kind of lowball. I don't know.
That's pretty lowball. Most of it's 500, so they're only upcharging 100.
Yeah. Usually you go on eBay, people selling it for like 3,000, 2,000.
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, hell that.
2,500.
You could buy a graphics card for that. The highest end graphics card for that.
Yeah, so I don't think it's worth that money paying for that much for it. Yeah, so yeah, that was Star Wars Jedi Survivor there.